Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to Fuck It Yoga, the place where we take everything holding us back in our lives and we fuck it. And we practice yoga. It's summertime and I'm out in this beautiful park in Astoria in Queens, New York. And I know a lot of you are on a lot of planes. Beautiful clients, Simone, travel, and she was self flag, or you're tight in a plane. What can I help ease my comfort? Flights to waiting for, say, the toe raises or cat. Anywhere really, you can do this in line. Get on the plane. It just helps get the blood circulating and pumping to the force of gravity that's going to be coming down on the atmosphere. You're in a retracted position. You know, you're always crunching forward in planes. Even the seat and the necks are always like way too forward. So you want to, as much as possible, get into extension. So opening the back body up, opening across the chest as much as possible. So if you're in an aisle, if you're waiting for a restroom, just get up, stand, find a little, and raise your arms up. You know, not trying to hit sides, stewards, or on the plane or any other. Just reaching your arms up high in Urdhva, facing hands, grounding down through the heels, pulling up with the abdomen, squeezing the sits bones down and together and pulling the ribs down, reaching up high and gazing up. Then grab onto your right wrist with your left forefinger and thumb. Legs together in the body. Pulling lightly on your right arm to pull it over to the side to really open the body. You can also a bit less of a reach to the side when you're sitting, reaching up and exhaling, reaching over to the left side. As many breaths as you can, as much that aisle waiting for the restroom. Inhaling, coming back to asana, exhaling, switching the hands, taking the right forefinger and thumb around the left wrist. In, lengthen, pulling gently on that wrist, and exhaling, folding over towards the right side. Right elbow bends and reaches for the floor. Gazing up at your left elbow, keeping mid-plane to your body. So I'm not folding forward or arching back. I'm staying in one plane as if I was between two planes of glass, and extending through that left side body to reach over to the right. This is really nice to really open up, and then you can exhale into a breath of fire and stick your pull your elbows and shoulder blades back. Inhale, sweep the arms forward, rounding through the spine. Exhale, open up back. Inhale, rounding, feeling the space between the shoulder blades. Exhale, open up back. This is like cat-cow really, but you can do it while you're standing. And if this is too much motion or you're taking up too much space in the plane, just reach your hands down by your sides. Also, when you're standing, I love to try dancer pose. So grounding down through your left foot, you typically have like a wall or a chair or a window that you can grip onto with your right hand. But use this opportunity to work on your balance a little bit. There's a plane flying overhead right now. What a coinky-dink. So grounding down through your left foot. Bend your right foot. Bend your left knee and reach around behind you and grab onto the outside or the inside of your left foot with your left hand. And hang out here for a couple of breaths. This is an extreme hip flexor stretch. And since you've been sitting in a forward flexion position, you want to come into extension slowly. So directing your left knee down towards the floor or towards the millions of miles below you that the plane is hovering above. And if you can balance, reach your right arm up towards the sky and take 3 to 5 breaths here, feeling the openness across the left shoulder as your foot presses into your palm, and also that opening across your hip as your hand pulls your foot back towards your glutes. So holding here, breathing, just feeling the breath and sending it to that hip region, to the upper shoulder blade and chest. And then if you have space in the plane, you can begin to lean forward slightly on an exhale to come into dancer. You can make your fingers in the mudra where your pointer finger and your thumb are touching, or you can give the fuck it mudra and extending, kicking back with that left foot, trying to keep your hips square and bending forward. This may not be possible, you may not have this much room in the plane, but oftentimes what I do is I'll try to hold that for as long as I can without being of annoyance to other passengers. And then I'll simply bring that right hand all the way down to the floor and balance. So this is giving you a really deep stretch in that right hamstring. And trying again to square off the hips, keeping the hips both pointed in the same direction, so not opening up super wide here, but pulling it down towards the ground. And then while you're down, you can place that left foot down, place the left hand down, and come into a bent knee forward fold. So releasing the crown of the head towards the floor, bending in the elbows, deeply bending in the knees, and just allow your upper torso, your shoulders, your neck to be loose. You can shake your head no and yes. You can grab onto alternate elbows and slowly extend the legs or straighten them just as much as you need to feel a nice stretch in both of those hamstrings. And take a couple breaths, reaching the left elbow out in front of the left toe. And then take a couple breaths, reaching the right elbow out in front of the right toe. So full Agni Raj breaths, inhaling deeply and exhaling fully. And then slowly round your spine up, letting the hands go, straightening the legs a little bit, keeping the knees micro bent. One vertebrae at a time, head's the last thing to roll up as you come up to stand. And again, opening the arms up and rounding forward, opening back, rounding forward. And then come to stand in Tadasana again and shift your weight over to the left leg. So we're going to try that dancer routine on the left side. So coming up onto your tiptoes or the ball of your foot on the right leg, grabbing onto something to support you, or just holding your balance in your core. Bending the right knee and grabbing onto either the outside or the inside of the right foot and holding here. Reaching those sits bones, squeezing them down and together behind you and pulling up with the abdomen, down with the ribs, down with the shoulder blades. And focusing on reaching that right knee straight down towards the left heel or ankle. Feeling the openness across the right shoulder and chest. And pulling with the right hand to try to reach that foot towards your glute back here. You could even grab both hands onto the foot and pull it back towards you. opening up across that chest. If you can, inhaling the left arm up and balancing here. Just really feeling the opening in the right hip flexor. And then again, bringing the left hand to Anjali Mudra or Fuck It Yoga Mudra. Slowly extending or kicking the right foot back behind you and extending that left arm out in front, trying to keep the hips square. Micro bending in the left leg to come into dancer pose. This is really opening up across that right shoulder, across the right hip flexor, and also is a deep stretch in this left hamstring. And then again, if you don't have enough room for this, or you've taken enough breaths and you feel enough stretch, or it's too much of a balance challenge, reach down and try to touch your hand to the floor to intensify the stretch in the left hamstring. Still kicking that right foot back behind you and trying to keep the hips square, so facing the same direction. When you've taken a couple breaths, when you feel a nice stretch in that hamstring, you feel things loosening up, release the right foot down to the ground and bend the knees deeply to come into Uttanasana. Again, bent knee forward fold. Grabbing onto opposite elbows. Just switch the direction whichever way you grabbed them last time. And again, extending the legs just a little bit. They don't have to be completely straight, but just feeling the stretch in the hamstrings. And extending again the right elbow out in front of the right toes. For a few breaths, coming back to center, reaching the left elbow out in front of the left toes for a few breaths, coming back to center, letting the head hang, shake it no, and yes. I like to hang out here in planes for as long as is culturally or socially acceptable. When I start to get stares from other passengers, I simply say, fuck it. This is what I need to do for me, you know? And it's also a great way to make friends. You can invite people to do it with you if you want. Inhaling and slowly rolling up, vertebrae by vertebrae. Head's the last thing to rise. Squeezing those sits bones together underneath of you. Inhaling, reaching arms up, gazing up. Exhaling, breath of fire, one last time. You can also interlace your hands behind your back and do a bound back bend. So gazing up, pulling the chin back in space, squeezing through those sits bones, pulling up with the abdomen, really reaching that chest up and forward and pulling those fists down towards your heels. Trying to lengthen through the spine from the crown of the head and gazing up. This is really nice counter pose from being, again, crouched forward in flexion for the whole plane ride. If this is too much for you, reaching your fists down, you can place your palms on your glutes, like you're putting your hands in your jeans pockets behind you, thumbs facing out, and try to pull your elbows back and your shoulder blades back and down. Same thing, gazing up. The arch in your spine is coming from your upper ribs to the crown of your head, gazing up and arching back. Squeezing those sits bones forward, micro bending in the knees, and breathing. Full inhales, feeling the breath rise up through the front body, up through the belly, the chest, the throat, the crown of the head. And exhaling, pulling those elbows back and down together, feeling the breath sink into the heels, feeling the arch of the spine. And on an inhale, rising up to stand once again. So those are just a couple of things that you can do on a plane. Get up. I'll be back with you in just a moment to give you some things that you can do while you're seated on a plane as well. Remember, you may look like a weirdo, but it's really good to be a weirdo, to keep joints lubricated, to your body fluid and joints really happy in your body. So if people are staring at you,